Welcome back. The Commission for Gender Equality is hosting a webinar on challenges faced by business women, especially the lack of access to finance. It's hoped that that webinar will help come up with workable solutions to challenges faced by female entrepreneurs in the industry. For more on this, we're joined by development economist Nthabiseng Moleko from the Stellenbosch University Business School. Nthabiseng, thank you so much for making time. What are the challenges facing women in business when it comes to access to finance? Do female entrepreneurs receive a lot of support from finance institutions?
So let's start with the first thing. Thank you so much for having me, Clement. We do not want to focus on only in August. Hindrances are an ongoing issue throughout the year. So the first thing is this. The issues of lack of access should be dealt with in the year, in the planning processes of all departments, of all private and public sector institutions throughout the year. It is good and well to focus on it in August, but that should just be a start and not an end.
Do we need policymakers to develop appropriate policy and interventions, or is this a matter of just simply implementing the policies that already exist?
So let's start with the first one, Clement. On procurement, we've heard the president announce a 40% allocation to female procurement. But if you look at it on the side of what's happening on the implementation side, what we're seeing is that there is a 3.65% gender equality that has allocated the budget to female procurement at tender. There is a lot of noise, Clement, that I'm getting on the side of the connection. All right, if I can just start again. The actual on the ground, what we are seeing in terms of research that the Commission for Gender Equality has done is that they've held procurement legislative hearings to try and analyze what's actually happening on the ground. What we have seen for the Department of Education, for example, of their procurement budget and allocation, although the target is 40%, what is implemented is 3.65%. We also analyze as the Commission for Gender Equality, the Department of Social Development, together with the Department of Land and Rural Reform. And we are seeing the same patterns where we are far from the 40% allocation. On the second is the development finance institutions. Their need to make sure that the allocation is both equitable, but also there is gender parity in terms of allocation is also an issue and emphasis that we had today when we had the webinar. We discussed with the minister, the deputy minister, and the institutions that were represented to say, how can we make sure that we focus and we put impetus on the financial exclusion and the barriers of entry, particularly to both the formal and the informal side of the economy, because we've got different type of entrepreneur enterprises across the value chain, and we've got to look at the formal products that are available that support them. And we're finding that there is a mismatch of the type of products, but also the need for credit guarantee schemes that are going to help those with no collateral and that are unable to access the current financial products on the market right now.
Yeah, and I'm glad you've touched on what the Commission for Gender Equality has looked at, because they've been monitoring and even assessing the progress that is made in the implementation of the gender-based policies by government, and even that compliance and implementation of gender equality programs by the private sector. How do we fix it, Nthabiseng? How do we fix it? And what's their response from government on how they are giving effect to even the National Development Plan goals? Because it's those goals which recognize the need to transform the economy and ensure that there is an encouragement for full participation of women.
Firstly, what we do is we need to watchdog as the CGE. So the Commission for Gender Equality, as the watchdog over the private and the public sector, has to ensure that parity and equity and redress occurs. I think the second thing is that in legislation, together with the DTIC and its agencies, the Commission for BBBEE, there have to be punitive measures for non-redress, for not meeting targets and not taking equity transformation goals seriously as a government, as both the public or the private sector institutions that are found wanting in this regard. I think the third and very simple practical steps that were recommended this morning, one being maths and science being enforced across the board within our Department of Basic Education up to a certain level, particularly for primary and secondary schooling education. The second being making sure that the targets that are allocated by the president for the 40% allocation are monitored and overseen by National Treasury through the CGE in gender responsive budgeting frameworks, so that you can actually oversee and monitor whether, and I think without and having punitive measures,
right,
we will have next year, and these targets will still.
So sorry for coming in there. The network was just disappointing us, but I think we got the main points that you were raising there. Ntabi Singh Moleko is with the Stellenbosch University, the business school there, speaking to us about this webinar that was organized by the Commission for Gender Equality, looking at the challenges that are faced by businesswomen, right, and the lack of finance and what exactly needs to change. Now, the ANC's factional battles are to blame for the leadership vacuum in the city of Johannesburg. That's according to